40 minutes that I have? What?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Working? Yeah.
Working? Yeah.
People in the back.
People in the back. There are seats available here.
Again,
People in the back, there are seats here. I don't bite. The elephants don't bite. Jesus Christ. Shall we? There are other talks, other better talks. So if you want to go there, because this one. All right. So I need to do a question. Do you want me to do English, Polish? Polish? Okay. There's a small detail. I don't speak Polish, so unfortunately, it would be the English. All right. Good morning, so to speak. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here in Poland for the first time, speaking at an international conference. And today, we're going to talk about PHPUnit. First question. Does anybody here do not know PHPUnit? Yes. But then there's a second question. Does somebody here does not test code? Like, develop code without tests? Oh, amazing. All right. First things first, let's go back in time.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. 3 years ago, I discovered something called Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest, for those of you who don't know, is a, so to speak, project, so to speak, event that GitHub, DigitalOcean, and a lot of other companies do that engage all developers. Jesus Christ. Guys, all the talks are better. My talk's not good. Keep going. Jesus Christ. Okay. So the Hacktoberfest is an event that engages all developers to contribute to open source. In 2017, I was starting to learn about PHP. I was starting to learn about open source. I was like, okay, I want to contribute to Hacktoberfest, but I didn't know where to start. Fun fact, I was learning tests. So I was like, okay, I can do something. I can start to test packers. But nah, people already do that. So I start to refactor some tests because of PHPUnit. By the way, this is the official logo now. I know there is the old one with square, purple. This is deprecated. This one is the new one. And I start to learn about PHPUnit. And I get a little bit deeper because I start to learn the internals about PHPUnit. Because for me it was amazing how PHPUnit tests your code, how the hell the thing works. And then I start to learn about PHPUnit. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gabriel. Nice to meet you. I'm from a small country called Brazil in South America. So it's a couple of hours flying. But I don't live in Brazil anymore. I live in a country called Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I work for this beautiful company called Usabilla. Usabilla, we provide tools for our customers to receive feedbacks from their clients. So it's a voice of customer solution. I'm a PHP core member, so no, I'm not going to develop generics. I'm not going to develop unit types. This is for Nikita. Just spread the word about PHP. I'm a member of a lot of communities, PHP Amsterdam, PHP SP in Brazil, Group in Italy, and I think now I can say that I'm part of PHPers. I'm an open source contributor, so if you have open source parts, maybe I have already do something, because I have 2,000 plus PRs in open source community. Sorry. And also, I like to refactor, I like stickers, and I like these beautiful elephants. So if you have elephants to treat, I'm here. If you have stickers to give away, I'm also here. Cool. What is assertions? Because this is the basics of PHPUnit, right? PHPUnit works in top of assertions. Assertions nothing more is than an array. In programming, you can call a method that checks the value that you are expecting, the expectation that you are expecting matches the value that it actually returns. For example, assert equals. Assert equals is both basically a method that receives an expectation and an actual method, right? I know that you are asking, should I use self or should I use this? Focus. This is not a part of the talk. We can discuss about that later. So if we start to understand what assertions are in PHPUnit, so we have a method. I have a lot of methods of assertions. We have an expectation. Can be a value, can be an object, can be a call, can be whatever you want. And we have the actual value that is returned by your system. We also have, for example, assert true that does not have the expected method, the expected variable, because it doesn't need. You just need to check if the value returned is true. All right. And then comes one of the interesting part of the talk. How does PHPUnit work? Can somebody here, without knowledge, without knowing PHPUnit, tell me what happens inside assert equals? Do we have the microphone? Yeah, this is a question somebody will need to answer. Now it's working. Okay. What does happen inside assert equals? Equal. No. Why are you laughing? assert equals that something is equal to something. Well, aha. So what's close? Can I leave it here? Yeah, I can. Because this is what a circle equals does. Well, there's a little bit of a logic. There we call PHPUnit magic. But the basic is right that. Assert equals basically checks if a value is equal to other value. So let's look at PHP internals code to see if your answer was right. People in the back, can you see it?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. So this is the assert equals. Well, there's no equals here. Why there's no equals? Because PHPUnit, developed by Sebastian, and I have a real appreciation about Sebastian, he knows how to code. So he does a lot of great things. For example, he uses interface, he uses abstract methods, he uses abstract classes, he does solid, he does a lot of things. So it's not, talking about solid, is not the responsibility of assert equals to check if the values are equals. So what it does, there's a constraint that we called is equal, that if you look, we have this method called evaluate, that basically, for example, triple equals are here. But you also have a lot of other magic happening that checks if both of the values are equal. I know that it's a little bit complex, but we're going to write our own PHPUnit assertion, and then it's going to be a bit more clear. But you need to see that we have the assertions, we have the constraint. Inside the constraint, we have the actual evaluation if the values are what you are expecting. For example, if we get, there's one that is simple, empty. Where it is? It's empty. Thank you. Close. Okay. The matches, because sometimes it's evaluate, sometimes it's match. The match function of is empty constraint is the constraint, is the empty function. Makes sense. All right. Back to the talk. So basically, what PHPUnit does inside, PHP under the hood, you can call it that, is what we does in userland. If you want to assert that a response code was something, you just compare. PHPUnit does the same thing. People think, oh, it's a little bit of magic. No, PHPUnit is simple. This is why it's fast. This is why it's good. This is why you should test, because it is. All right. I want to implement Aris countable assertion. Because in PHP 7.3 we had the is countable function that some Brazilian guy implemented in the PHP source code. And I want to bring that to PHPUnit. How would you do that? I for sure think that 50% of the people would do this. A private method that checks if something is countable on an array. This is the basic of a countable. And then return assert true is countable. Okay, it works. But again, it's not the responsibility of your test case to test this. So let's use the PHPUnit ABI for that. Okay? So as I do know the live code sucks, I have already code. We are just gonna go through the code. So first things first, I have to write some tests. I want to test if assert is countable works, and I want to test if assert not countable works. When you go to assert not countable, we're going to see some interesting thing. So an array object is supposed to be countable. An array is supposed to be countable, but one is not countable. So this is why we expect exceptions. This is basically how PHPUnit does. When something fails inside PHPUnit, it triggers an exception. PHPUnit catch the exception, it starts to count, and then we have the result. Oh, some amount of tests work, amount of tests doesn't work. This is how PHPUnit does under the hood. So if we run this test, PHPUnit, yeah, okay.
Okay, it fails.
Okay, it fails. Why? Because there's no assertion. Let's go back to the assertion.
Oh, here you are.
Oh, here you are. Oh, magic code. Just appear. Less than common. So assert is countable. What are we going to do? We're going to create a constraint. Is countable. And I'm going to assert that the value that we are passing match the constraints and some message that we want. Let's check is countable constraint. Here. It's not the same thing as we saw here. Something is the instance of countable, or something is an array. It's the same thing, right? But it's easier to debug. It's easier to maintain. It's easier to extend. Right? So if you run the test, again, just to... I forgot to uncomment the other one. Oh, here. I forgot to talk about that. Instead of, for example, here, I want to do now not just assert is countable, but assert not is countable. Then I would do to duplicate this method and change the constraint to be equals, false, and blah, blah, blah. Here, I just use another constraint of PHPUnit that just invert the assertion. It's much more easier because you have now one Jesus Christ. I know there's a guy from PHP says fixer. Sorry. Is equal we are not using. So it's the same thing we are checking, but we're using the constraint of logic not for PHPUnit to avoid duplication. And this is how PHPUnit works. For example, assert count. We have assert that. Count constraint. Assert not count. Assert that. Logic not. So it's a lot more easier to maintain your code. Cool? So this is one part of the talk that demystify how PHPUnit works under the hood. It's not complex. It's like this. Okay. Yeah, let's go. So I do know that a lot of people do this. In my company, we have some things like that. But there are some cases that people use PHPUnit's ABI to write assertions in order to make code more valuable, in order to make code more debugger, so to speak. We have Symfony, for example. Symfony has some assertions that for response, request response. So, for example, assert response was successful. If you want to do the private way, of a private method, you just retrieve the response compared to a code and everything. Here, they have a response was successful constraint that checks, well, like that, if response was successful. But it, again, is a lot of easier to debug. Cool. Of course, the constraint class has a lot of other methods, but it's not about the talk. But if you want to look how PHPUnit works, here. Just go to the PHPUnit source code and check this class, constraint. Here you're going to follow how PHPUnit works. Basically like that. Cool. Another example, I know that some people do not like Laravel, but, well, I need to show. So Laravel also has an interesting assertion called assert database has. And now we see the value of using this constraint because it's complex to check, so to speak, to check if something exists in database. Because we need to check the driver, we need to check cache, we need to check a lot of things. So we just delegate. Solid. We just delegate the responsibility. The responsibility of assert database has is not to check. You just return true or false. So again, they have a constraint. They receive the connection. Now we start to delegate the responsibility and match. In the database, in the given table, do I have something that is greater than 0? See? Much more easier. PHP says fixer, I think, does have some constraints, right? See? All right. Is just assert equals and assert true that exists in PHPUnit world?
No.
No.
And I don't know.
And I don't know why people just use those kind of assertions.
I'm gonna show you why.
I'm going to show you why.
By the way,
PHPUnit has 1 plus out assertions. Here. Assert true that something is equal to another thing. And this, Jesus Christ, what happened? Okay. And we have this beautiful message. Fail that false is true. Okay. What the shit happens us to the bug? Nothing. So let's debug, so to speak, this assertion. So we have an assertion called assert true. Do I have the pointer? Oh, man. So I have the assertion. I have an expected value. I have what the value was returning. But then you see that we have two assertions in the same method. And this is how you detect that you can improve your assertion. For example, with assert equals. We are going to get the expect, we're going to get the actual, and we're going to change the assertion. So assert equals that something is equal to another thing. And then the message is a lot more better. Because follow asserting that actual, something, is match the expectation expected. Other example, again. Filing assert that true is false. You don't, okay. But doesn't help you to debug, right? So how can we prove this? First, let's detect. So we have an assertion, and we have another assertion that is in array. In this case, what you can do is search for the PHPUnit documentation and see like, okay, do I have something that I can use here? Do we have? Which one? Oh, maybe? Ooh, almost. But yeah, here is saying that I'm asserting false if something exists in an array. Yeah, but it's the same case. So now the message is a lot more clear. Filing assert that an array does not contain foo. It's a base example, but imagine with database. You're checking the database. Oh, my database has something. No, filing assert that true is false. What the? No, filing. And then let's go back to Laravel. Table is empty. Where's the message here? Here. Filing the row in the table matches the attributes. It's a lot more easier to debug. So this is the value of using constraints. And also this is the value of refactoring your assertions to use more dedicated ones. How can I ensure that my project always use the best assertions? This is a question that I get frequently because it's not easier to debug every single assertion to see if you have the best assertion used in that case. So what you can do, I know two tools that can help you. The first one is PHPCS Fixer. They have some amazing rules that you can use to automate these refactorings. And also there's a new tool, not that new, I think it's 1 year, 2 years old, called Rector. Rector goes even further because it detects some complex rules and you can use to automate the refactorings. Cool. I want to show an example on where you can start, for example, to contribute to open source using these things. There's a tool called Composer. Don't know if you guys know. And was one of my first Jesus, can I zoom? Yeah, I can. Was one of my first contributions to open source. I came to the company. Oh, I contribute to open source. Oh, where? Composer. People are like, what? I was doing basically like this. I was using PHPCS Fixer, some background. I was not doing by hand. I was automating things. And here. Right now. Actually in the past. If this test fails, what would be the message? Filing that the false is equal to true. Doesn't help anything. But now, the message will be failing that checking if the file actually exists. Cool? There's a lot of other examples. I have done a million of pull requests, but this is something that you can do in your company to improve your tests. Right? This is one of the ways that I like to improve my tests. And I have separated a couple of minutes of this talk, I think 10 minutes before the questions. So you can also share where is the presentation here? So you can also share how do you improve your tests?
right? So
Right? So where's the microphone?
cool, working.
Cool, working.
So this is how.
So this is how I improve my tests, but I want to see about you. How do you improve your tests? Please tell me that you do improve your tests. Somebody wants to share something?
Okay, then we started like 5 years ago writing some proper tests. Before there were existing tests that was quite slow. They operate on the database directly, not really unit testing. But then we started to just separate all the constraints like file system and database and Redis and caches, and start improving mostly because tests were slow, very slow. And now we can say very safely that we have like 10,000 tests probably with many thousand assertions, and the whole thing is run in under a minute. Then, yeah, just by removing all the dependencies, mocking where necessary, and removing file system and stuff.
Cool.
I can also share
something about removing database interaction. Back in the days, I used to code in Laravel, and I don't know why, but Laravel comes out of the box with a base test case. What the base test case does of Laravel, before every single method, every single test, something boots up the application, runs your test, and then shut it down. By simply removing the base test case of Laravel and using the PHPUnit test case, again, I've also gained performance improvement. Cool, like that one. Another one? Someone? No one? Oh my god. Okay.
So
I hope you learned something with the talk. It was a simple talk. It was about PHPUnit. Please give me feedback in this. If you scan this QR code, you're going to go to JoinGene. JoinGene is a website, so to speak, where you can give feedback for both speakers and conference. For speakers, it's good because we know what we should improve, and for conference, it's amazing because the sponsors can see if the conference is good and then sponsor the conference next year. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to post the slides, and also if you don't want to make a question right now, you can send me a message on Twitter about PHPUnit. Right? For your attention, thank you very much. Bye-bye.